they say are the leaders of tomorrow, and when the youth help government to help the society, such a country will be a better place for all to live. And I want to start this week's program on the basis of this quotation. Last week we talked about prevalence of internet fraud among youth. What are the PR solutions? And this is going to be the continuation of what we discussed last week. I have my guest in the studio, Mr. Kekudero. He's a fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, he's PR consultant and managing director CEO of PR Primus. He's a veteran PR practitioner. You're welcome this week to the program, sir.
Glad to meet you again.
I also have a public analyst and social influencer, Mr. Babatunde Adiluola, a young Nigerian who believes that cybercrime is also a crime, a criminal activity. You are welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm glad to let us know that to have essay on youth empowerment and job creation to the governor of Ogun State, Mr. Otedola Abiola. You are welcome this week, sir.
Thank you again for having me, sir.
Now, let me start from Mr. Kekudero. Last week, we talked about the genesis of cybercrime in the society and the causes of this social menace. Sir, let me ask you this question. Most of these youth who engage in these know that there are laws that should be checkmating the activities of cyber criminals. We have various government security agencies, and the one that is saddled with the responsibility of checkmating these activities, EFCC, that is Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Are these bodies, or this particular body, EFCC, doing enough to checkmate cybercrime in the society?
Well, you have asked the right question. Are they doing enough? Of course, within their limits, they are doing what they think is best for the situation. But when you look at the development in the society, they are not getting their acts right. We must be serious about it. And why do I say so? New laws are coming in to ensure that they checkmate cybercrime and other fraudulent activities. But are we following protocol? Are we doing proper investigation? Are we doing proper monitoring of all these people who are coming up with such activities? For example, a young guy who is unemployed and who believes that he must find a quick means of getting rich, it is left for the government to track such a person. There must be technology. But beyond that, even the law enforcement agents, they are overbearing at times. What caused the NSAS issue? Agree that the fraudsters. It is incumbent on these security agencies to do a thorough check on everyone.
Let me go to Mr. Adiluola now. Going by his submission, a young Nigerian was arrested last year by nickname Hush Puppy, and many Nigerians, millions of Nigerians were following him on Instagram. Many of them they knew actually that he is a fraudster. Don't you think Nigerians who don't engage, young ones who don't engage in fraudulent activities, also encourage them, maybe morally? Because if you see his followers on Instagram, they are predominantly youths, and now the guy is in one of the United States prisons. What message do you have for such youths who believe that this guy is a fraudster and they still follow him? They follow him, they even encourage him, So what do you have to say on this?
Number one, the solution has to be analyzed holistically, because you can't just take it from the social media angle. The family, the community, religious organizations, and the country and the government as a whole must work together to solve this menace, because it has gotten so bad that it doesn't even respect gender anymore. In those days, maybe up until 2-3 years ago, mostly maybe 99 or almost 100% of people involved in cybercrime were male, were guys. Now you have female involved. It doesn't respect age any longer. Wow. You have people as young as 12 years old in secondary school, in GS1, GS2, GS3, involved in this.
As bad as that?
It is as bad as that now. So the country must actually begin to see it as a serious problem, because in the next couple of years, we won't be able to handle the results, because there will be an uncontrollable set of Nigerians who are grown confident in doing crime. That is the challenge that government must embrace and try to solve, because the government is really that arm of society that can put all of us in check via laws. And then the error that some of us make is that it's actually not the EFCC that is in charge of solving such crimes. There's a special fraud intelligence unit of the Nigerian police, SFIU, under which they have the cybercrime unit as well, that actually meant to investigate such crimes. They have we believe they have the technology and the know-how and the manpower to solve cybercrime.
All right, thank you.
Another problem.
It's okay. I want to take you on where it ended. You talk about the society and what have you. I don't want to mention the name of a particular town and the state, but we read from the news that some time ago we have an association of mothers of Yahoo boys in Nigeria, which means that parents also contribute to the menace in the society. Aside from parents, even security agents know where the supposedly headquarters in Nigeria. As a youth who believes that there should be empowerment of youth, what should the government do? Parent also has a role to play in this. So let's focus primarily the attention of parents on this. What should be the role of parents who encourage their children to engage in this?
So
because they enjoy from the soccer.
Exactly. So I'll take it from a particular angle that is, I want to believe is uncommon. You see, I used to say something that in my office, when myself and my immediate boss are discussing the next line of action, I'll say that our people are too poor to be idle. I don't know if you understand that. And most of the parents, right, that are poor is not lack of work or say job that has made them poor. Some of them worked, they were working class parents, and they were still perpetually poor. Now, the society, Nigeria as a whole, has evolved in a way that everything is monetized. The success of a family, the success of a politician, the success of a businessman, the success of a pastor, the success of whoever, before you can even become a traditional ruler, you must exhibit that you have financial muscle. Now, what that means is that in practical terms, it means that every means available to gather immense wealth and show the community that you have it, to be relevant or be seen as a family that is, in quotes, successful. People encourage and embrace it. So what it means practically is that those parents, I want to believe, and I'm not speaking for them, those parents have thought of their generation as we were poor, right? Oh, if this is the person that will take us
out of the bondage of
and they make us something in the society. So it comes back to, or begs the question of, what are the value system that we run? How do we begin to, and I will say again, celebrate those people that have legally made a living, right? How have we begun to say, okay, Biola today is an essay? It's not by virtue of the fact that he had amassed more money and he had bribed some people his way to be, right? Do you get? So we can begin to reward those work, those little things that young people do, and put them in position where they can influence others. If we do not do that, if we do not do that across board, the parents, the home, the church, who do you make as a youth leader in the church, in the organization, in the mosque? Who is the community youth leader? Like that, who is being awarded, who is being celebrated? If we do things like that, if we encourage more of that, I believe that those that does legal things that are engaging, they would hide let me say this, that I grew up hearing in Abeokuta that if you are in Omoni theater, for a long time, a lot of people were scared or ashamed of that profession because there is a lot of vice attached to the profession. So you can't come out and say that
I'm proud to be.
I'm proud to be. So how do we then isolate those people that are into illegal crimes? And if you check again, let me just say this, and I think we were discussing this because I came with my brother, and then we were discussing that before we know what is happening, there are already some industries we have in the country today that is being governed indirectly by internet fraud.
Wow.
And proceeds of internet fraud.
Because it is the process of that that keeps the demand and supply of that industry going.
Wow. That's a big information.
Yeah, so if we do not, before we know what is happening, in the next few years, you will realize that the set of young people you see in the position of power would be young people that are into this, and it is happening already.
Wow. All right, prevalence of internet fraud among youth in the society, PR solution, is what we are discussing on Your Image today. I'm really happy this is coming from youth who believe that you can be successful in life without involving yourselves in cybercrime or any crime whatsoever. Let me go back to Mr. Akudero now. I think we have listened to these young men who have spoken intelligently on how to guard against things. Now, I want us to do a comparative analysis between our country and other countries of the world. How far are we going? Have we done better? Are we faring better in terms of checkmating these? Seriously, let's take a holistic approach to this.
My brother said that the best way to engage the youth is to saddle them with their responsibilities. I happily agree with him. And I said that is the difference between this country and some other countries, particularly in the Western world. At the tender age, they were identified to grow their interest, to grow their skills. And such challenges were harvested. And that's why you have great nations like China, you have even in Malaysia, even in Singapore, and some other countries that are tech savvy. You allow them to grow their interest, and the country encourages them, equip them, put them on platform. Our youth, I say, are always very enterprising. They need to be engaged in skill acquisition. And I thank God that the essay on the job creation is talking about that. We want to see more. We want to see more of the hubs in local governments, in senatorial districts. Then you have an array of youths creatively engaged who will even innovate to the surprise of the state. And what does a country or a state benefit from? It is the creativity of an individual. You are able to turn little things into sources. And the moment you do that, you have growth, you have business development, you have a space for mentorship, you have a lot of activities that we even earn money for the government of that nation. Number two, let's look at the era where we are glamorizing fraud. It's common nowadays. You see some of our artists singing Yahooze and all that. You hear Nkemowo talking about a chop $1 or something. I mean, how do you do that? Why will...
And I want to be a billionaire.
Yeah. Why will even the agency who is producing such music, why must they allow it? It should have been censored. Of course, people will say freedom of speech, freedom of... But whatever that is going to be detrimental to the growth of the nation, that is going to create moral decadence, we shouldn't encourage such. Number three, what is the problem in Nigeria? The problem in Nigeria is that people are not given the freedom to showcase their talent. If you give freedom to individuals, even entrepreneurs, you fund them, you create structures that will encourage them to be more innovative. The moment you do that, you will see less of all these crimes because people will have a new focus of achieving more. But for as long as we depend on illicit ways of making money, then we cannot make it.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Adeliola, yeah, there was a video that went viral some time ago about a young man who was caught by the police, and he was unraveling how he was tapping people's SIM cards, and the guy narrated it intelligently. And some people argue that these guys and others who indulge in criminal activities, I mean fraud, internet fraud, government should gather them together and probably turn them to be better people and use them also to curb further criminal activities. Will you agree with this school of thought?
It takes a certain level of intelligence to commit internet fraud. At least you need some basic knowledge. And basic skills, analytical skills, technical skills to be able to, and then maybe days and nights of of trying and trying. In other climes it is done, where the government actually bring those kind of people into their fold. They employ them into sometimes with the security network, the CIA, FBI, and other places like that. And even companies, tech companies, Google and Microsoft, are actually built around such people. So such people are identified one way or the other, either at school or when law enforcement actually goes after them and apprehends them, and then they go after them, they negotiate with them. Okay, if you can tell us how you did this, we'll compensate you, we'll reduce your sentence. But in Nigeria, the difference is we hardly even apprehend those people in any case.
Wow.
We hardly. So everybody is comfortable and confident in committing crime. And they believe that even if they commit crime, they can always pay their way out. So until we put a system that, one, discourages and, like the essay has said, encourages positive income earning, and then celebrates those kind of people. Now, there's a saying that goes that a drop of garbage in a drum of juice is a drum of garbage. So one Nigerian putting our reputation in disrepute all over the world is like the whole of Nigeria is bad. I can tell you for a fact that we have more people, more youth making a living legally than we have those people involved with cybercrime. But it just seems that everywhere you go, you're seeing a cyber criminal, you're seeing someone who is into illegal duties being celebrated. And you asked a question the other time that why do they go into places and they want to be noticed? It shows that there's a deep need for acceptance, because they know what they are doing is actually not good, but they want society to accept them.
Acceptability.
They need it for self-justification.
Wow. Thank you very much. Let's see. Now, let me ask this, and I want to be specific in my question. Most of these financial crimes are done in connivance with financial agencies like banks.
Absolutely.
They can't do certain transactions without banks and without knowing people there. Don't you think something is wrong somewhere? And it's a group of people in our financial institutions who also have hands, who collaborate with these people to commit these crimes.
Yeah, 100%. And I think more recently we have seen the financial regulatory agencies flagging accounts with the advent of BVN and order to check. Okay, a lot of people have been called to come and explain certain transactions, but as has been said by the two other guests, the truth is that the rot is not just within the cybercrime ring, right? So we have to broaden it to discuss the corruption in, also in the banking sector and also our reward system. So if a bank has more contract staff that probably earns in peanuts, right, and it sees an opportunity of a young person that has made illegal money, right, you would put a call through such a person, find a way to ensure that that person gets his money out, right? Through there is a ring. It is always a network. So when people yearn for more, right? When people wants to talking about urgent success that we discussed, like arriving early, like we want to make it and then make it very very fast. So the ring is beyond just the guys that perpetrate the harm. It goes into the banking sector, the security agencies that's supposed to, and then that's why really in Nigeria, it is not like cybercrime is peculiar to Nigeria. I think it is the volume here. If you go to countries like the UK, they will tell you that Pakistanis are engaged in internet fraud and credit card fraud and all that more than Nigerians. But the fact that Nigerians have seen it in quote as an occupation, and a lot of people are going into it. So the number of people that are in that in quote sector of crime has made it what it is today. So what we can only call for is that let the law, let's have pre-out programs like we used to have. What's the name of this program on NTA that we watch on every Sunday? There's this that talks about crime. Crime Fighters. Okay. Where the law has indeed they have arrested some people and they show the ring. Let's do proper investigation like they did with Hush Puppy. Everybody that was involved is rounded up and then but we don't do that here.
All right. In few seconds, what is your take home on this show? What advice do you have for young Nigerians who are watching us? Few seconds, please.
Well, I'll say again, cybercrime, internet fraud, Yahoo, at whatever level is a crime, is criminal. Okay. So the only thing I will also add to what I've said probably last week is that there is a process. Okay. The only thing that I will say to young people is that follow the process, believe that an opportunity is coming and be prepared for it.
Thank you very much. A quick one, Mr. Adeluola.
Nigerian youth should believe in themselves. You don't have to be engaged in crime to make it in life. There are many other ways, legal ways, to make a success of yourself.
Thank you. And finally to Mr. Kekunjero.
A piece of advice to all of us, all the stakeholders involved with this menace, is that we should do a thorough examination of ourselves. Are we morally bankrupt? If we are, we should retrace our steps. Let's follow diligence. Let's follow good ways, positive attitude of doing things in life. And let every system be made to work. That's my advice.
All right. Thank you very much. And that's how far we can go on this week's edition of Your Image, Prevalence of Internet Fraud Among Youth in Society, Public Relations Solution. I want to say a very big thank you to my guest, Mr. Kekunjero, Fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, PR Consultant, and NDCU PR Prime. Thank you very much for being part of this show.
It's been a great time, yeah?
Thank you very much. I also thank Mr. Babatunde Adeluola, Public Analyst and Social Influencer. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And our SA to the Governor of Ogun State on Youth Empowerment and Job Creation, Mr. Odetola Abiola. Thank you so much.
Thank you again for having me, sir.
Until we meet next week for another web package edition of Your Image. To Nigerian youth watching us, let's be good ambassadors of Nigeria. God bless you. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
ẹ wá gbọ́ o ààbò ara ẹni náà ni ààbò ìlú. Gbogbo àwọn ìṣe àtàwọn ìwà tó lòdì sí òfin ní pàtàkì jùlọ láwọn agbègbè tí ọ̀pọ̀